Well, I'm just wondering because next up was Jericho against Jungle Boy, 10-minute time limit. Apparently, Jungle Boy got a fall when Marco Stunt counted it last week. Now they got a 10-minute till you can't beat me in 10 minutes. And this shit sounds familiar. Were we not discussing shit in a lot like this? Who came up with 10 minutes before? Was it them or was it me first?
You did it first, either 2 or 3 weeks ago on The Experience. Pretty much exactly what they did, you booked.
Well, at least Chris listens. And not only listens, but hears. Anyway, they imagine that the biggest star in the company, Chris Jericho, started in a match right before 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the top of the hour to prevent switching around. Very good. Here's what Jungle Boy did wrong. Here's how I would critique him if he was an OVW, because as we've said, he's got all the potential in the world and he can be a star and he needs to be that underdog babyface kid. Here's where he made his mistake. When Jericho was giving him spots where Jungle Boy would shine, did you notice how he was just walking off looking cool and looking casual about it? Like, yeah, No, that started subliminally getting heat with him, with viewers such as me, because the way this story is going to be told is later on he's going to be getting his ass waltzed across Texas, and it's only through his resourcefulness and toughness that he makes it the 10 minutes. So he should never, ever have had the attitude that anything he was doing was easy or that he was hot dogging or doing anything but being serious as a heart attack and being animated and passionate and aggressive instead of walking off like, yeah, that was cool. I did that. Go back and watch it thinking that now or noticing that and see what I mean.
Yeah, especially because of the 10-minute time limit.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're in a match with the champion, you do that. That's still wrong, but you only have 10 minutes. Make it work. And I got to say, though, if that bothered you, and I shouldn't say it bothered me, but I was like, ooh, stop showing his family. Because no matter what was happening to him, his mom laughed at everything. Yeah. Whether he's getting his ass kicked, his mom's sitting back having a great time.
Yeah. And so they should have not have been ever shown. They should have got a fake family if they were going to do that, or do what every other wrestler has done since the dawn of time. Smarten your family up and tell them how to fucking react. Or in the case of Danny Hodges' father, don't smarten him up and have him cut fucking Angelo Savoldi and require 60-something stitches because he's healing. Anyway, I would also, Jericho was leading this all the way through. There were a couple times where he was really having to communicate with old Jungle Boy longer than he should have, but he covered it well for the naked eye. Every time he would tell Jungle Boy to fire up the weak gut shots with not only no force behind them, but also it doesn't look like a poor angle, just limp rag gut shots. When Jericho would say fire up, he should have immediately thrown a hard gut shot, boom, and then crumpled Jungle Boy to both knees and start to crawl away. And Jericho could sell it for a second and grab him by the back of the head, where then Jungle Boy could fire back with a backwards elbow in the gut, and Jericho could sell it again, and Jungle Boy could stagger to his feet and go to grab Jericho, where Jericho could thumb him in the eye and cut him back off. That's fire up. Start fighting back on me, and I will have to cheat to get you down, not limp, ragged, fucking limp penis goddamn gut shots. Jungle Boy has a chance to draw money, so that's where they need to start getting harder on him now instead of giving him a participation trophy and, oh, everybody's great. Now's when somebody needs to be screaming at that motherfucker and belittling him till he gets the fucking picture because he's got a chance to make some money. But Jericho dictated the pace. He had Jungle Boy fight from underneath. He did the first pull-up, the only pull-up, about 4 minutes in. He hit his finish, covered him 1, 2, then pulled him up. And that was perfect. Just one was not too much, but it established that, okay, Jungle Boy got his one out because Jericho's taking him so lightly. He would have beat him there with that finish. Jericho is the world champion, but Jericho got cocky. So that was the one they needed to establish that. And then they needed to get rid of the distraction outside. They needed to get rid of the fucking kid stunt. They didn't need any attention on anybody else outside, but they all have groups. So they did the Hager interference to get some heat and knock that fucking goofy stunt out and then get them all kicked out of ringside. So that was perfect. This was Jericho's whole thing all the way through. As soon as ringside is clear and all the attention is on these guys, second 5 minutes, then Jericho makes a mistake, and then here comes Jungle Boy, and he explodes with the 3 dives, and now he's bringing the house down. Now, that was a good use of dives, even though they still don't look very fucking impactful. Everybody just jumps out and pushes off somebody these days. But still, that pacing and that location in the match, that's what brought them up. Now they're into it. Now Jungle Boy starts getting the near falls. Holy shit. Is Jericho made the fatal mistake? They're taking the people on that ride. Jericho should have pinned him when he had the chance. And Jericho made these near falls look plausible, that this kid could do this in such a way, or he could be caught by something like that because he stumbled or whatever. Now you got 3 minutes left. Jericho shuts him down and gets some heat. Now, okay, the dream is over. We thought for a second we'd convinced ourselves Jungle Boy was going to do it, but let's go back to reality. Jericho's wiping the fucking ring up with him. This is where Jungle Boy has to have more fire and passion in his body language when he fights back and when he sells away. If he takes a bump if he gets hit with a move, he can't just take a bump and sell there. He has to take a bump and bounce up and show pain in his face and clutch another part of his body and start trying to crawl away and be pulled back into the clutches of the heel. Not just take a bump and lay there or sell on his face for a second or whatever the fuck. He's got to have more. And then finally, a minute left, and I thought this was too early, but he did it great. Jericho gets the walls of Jericho and holds it for a minute, but he kept every 15 or 30 seconds, he'd bend him farther back until it looked like he almost had him double at the bell. But Jungle Boy didn't tap. And son of a bitch, wouldn't you know who won the pony? Jericho didn't beat him in 10 minutes. Jungle Boy wins. And then, the 5 more minutes I was ambivalent on because I know Chris is trying to be a heel. Give me 5 more minutes. But then he started slapping him around when I thought he really should have dug into him and just been vicious, like that old Lawler Dundee hair match fucking video from Memphis, where Lawler just got into him and it looked like he was just going to beat him to death. But Chris may have been blown up at that point, be quite honest, from leading Jungle Boy around. But that's the only thing I was going to say. Asking for 5 more minutes and then Jungle Boy doing a flurry and Chris bailing. I like that he bailed because he's the champion. But if I'd have been Jericho, I believe I would have liked Jungle Boy to win and then me to take one cheap shot and then fucking take off with it rather than doing the extra 5. Go ahead.
2 things. One, I don't know if it was here or later in the show, but at one point there was a Chris Jericho promo in the ring with Sammy Guevara, but it was picture-in-picture during a commercial break, so you couldn't hear it. Did you see that?
Well, I don't see anything in the break. The promo in this show that I saw of Jericho's was they went to break after Jericho bailed, and they came back, and he was live on the stage and healed about the whole thing with Jungle Boy and then said, we're going to have a surprise for Moxley on New Year's.
No, there was a completely different one where it was him and Sammy Guevara.
Okay.
And it was during a picture-in-picture, so you couldn't hear any of it. The one guy I want to hear talk on your show that's on the show this week, I can't hear it. But the second thing I was going to say, I want to get your thought, is I have really enjoyed Jericho for the most part in AEW. But, and I know I was critical about it a few years ago, and obviously it pissed off Lance Storm and a few other people. Physique-wise, it appears that, I'm watching.
He's got furniture disease.
I'm watching.
His chest is in his drawers.
I'm watching a lot of 1983 Mid-South with Mike Mills on the Mid-South Television Review podcast, and we're seeing the Junkyard Dog.
No, now.
Slowly gain. No, I mean, look, let's call it fair. Jericho has gained considerable weight, and if he hasn't, he certainly appears to have since AEW was announced and since AEW started on TV. Do you think that, considering his position in the company, that maybe he should try to
go on a diet?
I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say go on a diet or work out more, but I mean, it's noticeable. To me, it's really noticeable.
I'm seeing a little belly. I'm seeing now. I cannot go as far as the JYD comparison because Dog went from like a fucking. Well, he was never a circus acrobat, but Dog went from a fairly flexible pro football player to a fucking immobile statue.
No, but I said 1983 Dog. So I mean, again,
okay, all right.
Again, look at him in 1982, and then look at him 1 year later. I'm not saying he got really big and slow just yet, but he started fleshing out, and it's really noticeable. And with Jericho, I think it seems to me like he's bigger now than he was 3 months ago.
Well, he's on the road, and we know how challenging it can be to keep on a good diet on the road. But anyway, nevertheless, I can see that part.